Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 54 of the unofficial Rogue Company podcast broadcast. I'm here with Co-Reed.
I'm here with Dirt Lord.
I'm here with Garbo.
And I'm here with Griffin.
And this is the Rogue Company podcast, bringing you all the news that you need to know about Rogue Company. And we're going to hit it off first here real quick with the Virtual Horizons hotfix. There's not a lot going on here, but this is news, and this was the hotfix. This is the mid-season update that we got. Rogue Company servers recently underwent maintenance to implement a minor update and resolve some lingering issues. Players should take note of the following modifications. The Switch version of Rogue Company will no longer be able to access the game, fixed an area in High Castle where players could get out of bounds, turned off bot backfill in Ranked, fixed an issue where Bleed Out was taking away armor instead of health, and fixed an issue with the Event Pass screen that showed Battle Pass 12 instead of Event Horizons. So it's a sad day. The Switch was, unfortunately discontinued their port of it, and I'm pretty sure that the Paladins port, and I'm not sure if any other Hi-Rez games was hit during this whole Switch thing, but it's a sad day for the Switch community, and my heart goes out to them. Hopefully there will be some silver lining here where there'll be a different version of the game that'll become available for them, hopefully. It sucks. I feel for them because there were some good Switch players, so. An area in High Castle where players could get out of bounds. I don't know if this is High Castle Omega or if this is traditional High Castle. If it's traditional High Castle, then anywhere you could go out of bounds was off of the map. So I'm not exactly sure what this.
It was Omega.
Well, you can still get out of bounds in certain areas.
Yeah, but it was that right part, that one that Donnie showed. It was that area on the right side. If you're going to go plant and you're going to B, that whole little right side that you can run off and you could run out of bounds and just run over it, then hop over. That's where they got rid of. They just took all that out.
Well, dude, I was playing the other night after the update and I was still able to do it.
On that side?
Yeah.
What? Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Bot backfill and Ranked. Why was it turned on?
Didn't even know it existed.
You would think that if you had bot backfill in any game mode, the last game mode would be in Ranked, right?
Yeah.
So that's insanity. Bleed Out where armor was being taken away instead of health. To be fair, is that really a bad idea? How often do you down someone and they have armor still? There's only one character that ignores the armor, so.
Yep.
So wouldn't it make
two, if Dolly?
Yeah. So wouldn't it make sense if you down someone and they still have 75 armor, that they would have a benefit of having 175, to balance that whole thing out? I don't know.
I don't know, because it's more like a bleed out scenario, and armor doesn't prevent you from bleeding out. You know what I mean?
It could if it's nano armor.
But it's not.
It would be helpful to do that just in it's a bleed out scenario, but as you're crawling away and they're shooting at you, that'll prevent them from killing you much faster. So maybe you can get behind that trash can and get the res.
Yeah.
That'd be helpful there, and I'm not against it.
Same. It's a weird thing, but it sounds like they were testing the bleed out thing with the armor to see if they could incorporate it in a different way, and they accidentally put it into the game. That's what it sounds like to me. So
all it really does is it's going to force the other team to have to try to go after that kill so you don't get the res.
Yeah, exactly.
And it might put them in a position that'll help you out.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't have a problem with that, but it has to make sense. And if Fixer's going to stay the way that he is, he's pretty powerful. That would be a really cool way to kind of balance that character out. Because if he downs a trench or an anvil with 175 like total HP and 75 of it he ignores, then if there was some type of like trade-off there, it would, because I mean, if you revive an anvil, he's coming up with 75 armor, and then whatever Saint, like if Saint reses him, he's coming up with 60 HP. Or a normal person reses him, like that doesn't have any like helping hand or anything, or the Saint passive, then he's got 20 or 25 HP with the 75 armor. He can get back in the gunfight immediately. So it would kind of balance it out a little bit. And then fixed an issue with the event pass screen that showed Battle Pass 12 instead of Event Horizons. Who cares?
That's a silly change.
Yeah, what does that matter?
Who cares, dude? It's, if we didn't cover it, I wouldn't know what the event passes or battle passes were called,
Somebody was complaining out there.
Well, of course. Always.
Always.
So in the grand scheme of things, I mean, it was a minor hot fix of an update. Since we've had the event passes, we've had, the update come out and then the mid-season update, and sprinkled between those times, we did have the like hot fixes traditionally. So it sounds like they didn't really want to tweak anything in the game or add anything or balance anything. They're just like, we're going to call this the mid-season and we're going to push this out, So next up, we're going to get in the meat. Are y'all ready for this?
As long as there's some potatoes to go.
I think there's a couple here. So there will
Potatoes and carrots. Let's go.
So there was a post on June the 26th of 2023 from Stuart Chisholm. Some updates on Hi-Rez. This is a tough day because we are doing some reorganization and job eliminations as part of this, but I'm excited about moving to this structure. It's something we've been planning a long time, and I know that Tony, Alex, and Travis will do amazing with Evil Mojo and Titanforge, and I'm very thrilled to dedicate more time to Rally here. And then posted a LinkedIn article, right? So I'm going to go ahead and tackle the LinkedIn article here. Now, let me cut the dark reader on here so we don't get blinded, and it doesn't make the text white, so that's a bummer. Okay. Cool, All right. So this was posted 5 days ago from Stuart Chisholm. Today, Hi-Rez Studios underwent a restructuring to better organize and focus the business around its top priorities and establish a better corporate framework for future growth. As part of this reorganization, Hi-Rez Studios Incorporated will begin rebranding as Hi-Rez Ventures, and the operations of Hi-Rez Studios will be broken into 3 distinct business units, each of which will operate as independent studios owned by Hi-Rez Ventures. Titanforge Studios, co-led by Alex Cantator and Travis Brown, will focus on the Smite IP, including Smite, and a new unannounced project set firmly in the Smite universe. Divine Knockout, the brawler set in the Smite universe, will continue to operate with Titanforge responsible for the maintenance of that game. Evil Mojo Games, led by Tony Jones, will focus primarily on the Paladins IP. Realm Royale and Rogue Company will continue to operate with Evil Mojo responsible for the maintenance of those games. Rally Here Interactive, under Stuart Chisholm's leadership, will provide software-as-a-service solutions for game developers building cross-platform live service games. Note that Titanforge Games and Evil Mojo Games remain customers of Rally Here Interactive and will continue to use Rally Here service to power its live games operations. As part of this reorganization, Hi-Rez will consolidate its First Watch Game Studio and Redbeard Game Studio into Evil Mojo and Titanforge respectively, as well as reorganize several publishing functions and simplify its organizational structure to be flatter and more nimble, with fewer management layers. We will no longer brand Hi-Rez Studios as a publisher and will transition to a model in which we publish all games through either Titanforge or Evil Mojo. Erez Gordon, the founder and chairman of Hi-Rez Studios, will be CEO of Hi-Rez Ventures. Stuart Chisholm, who previously served as CEO of Hi-Rez Studios, will serve as CEO of Rally Here Interactive, as well as president of Hi-Rez Ventures. Unfortunately, as part of this strategic realignment, there will be a reduction in force. This impacts many hardworking, loyal, and talented game developers. We are doing all we can to smooth the transition from those employees and their families, as well as to work with other game studios to find these great game developers new landing spots. We believe these changes allow us to best support our live game franchises, better empowering the game developers inside Titan Forge and Evil Mojo to control their own destinies and provide the best experience possible for their gamer communities. It will also provide Rally Here Interactive with the resources and management attention it needs to grow and accomplish its mission. I'm very grateful to our remarkable staff and our incredible gamer communities. Congratulations to Tony, Alex, Travis, and others being asked to step up through this transition, and a huge dose of gratitude to our amazing staff. So I've got a little information here. So Tony Jones, who's going to be over Evil Mojo, is known in the community as Radar, right? So Radar, the Radar guy that everybody knows. He posts stuff on Reddit. He posts stuff on, whatever. Sometimes on social media. He is going to be basically the lead producer for Evil Mojo. Ezra Gorin, who is the founder and CEO, of course, he is going to help with Rally Here, and he is the individual that I do have an article about that we'll get to here in just a little bit. But this individual is the one that established Hi-Rez and also established a couple of other companies like Prophecy Games, Lifebell AI, Blue Cube Software, Radiant Systems Incorporated. He was the founder, CEO, and chairman of Radiant Systems Incorporated from 1985 to 2004. And then Blue Cube from 2004 to 2006, Hi-Rez from 2005, Prophecy Games 2020, and Lifebell AI 2020. Stuart Chisholm is currently the CEO at Rally Here and also the CEO at Hi-Rez Studio. And the last thing that we're going to touch on before we kind of transition over into our talk about this is a tweet here by Jared at Maximum Jared on Twitter, lead designer for Rogue Company. He posted on Twitter at 12:45 a.m. on June the 27th. Well, after almost 10 years, I was laid off from Hi-Rez. It was a joyful experience being the creative lead where I could work with painfully talented devs and making a fun game that we could be proud of from start to finish. As always, we go forward to greater ventures. So this is a ton of information. But first of all, I'm going to say that I don't like the way that this was presented. You're going to let Chisholm tweet this out, right? And there's no context. There's no information to the individual communities of these games, especially DKO and Realm Royale, which I think Realm Royale was already under Evil Mojo. I'm not 100% certain. And Rogue Company. And everybody in the community started speculating like crazy because it says in the article that Evil Mojo will be responsible for the maintenance of Rogue Company and Realm Royale. I don't think that's the right way to phrase that. Whenever you phrase something as the maintenance of those games, from my experience, because of my previous working experience, maintenance means that if something's broke, you fix it and you make sure that it's running in the best possible way that it can, right? A maintenance guy that you hire to come work on your refrigerator or your stove is going to do whatever they have to do to fix that stove. That way it's operating as well as it possibly can, or at the most it would be operating as day one purchase, right? So I think that maintenance was the wrong verbiage in this. I think that they could have used other words and used other hot words, hot phrases, whatever you want to call it, to kind of explain it a little bit more, because people are reading between that as they're going to focus on Paladins and they're just going to maintain the other two games by keeping the servers on for them.
Yeah.
So basically what I understand from this is Hi-Rez Ventures is going to have Rally here, which is software as a service, and then the two gaming studios that they're going to kind of be the parent company of. And they're actually going to let the gaming studios do the things and make the decisions that the gaming studios need to make in order to create a good product. Why are we just now doing this? Like, this is something that should have been done. You know what I mean? Because I really do feel like that a lot of decisions that previous people from Rogue Company, Paladins, like those are the two that I have some type of experience with, the mindset and the direction was in the right place, but the people in charge wasn't allowing it to go where it needed to go.
That seemed to be the issue with Jared, is he had all these promises, and whoever was above him was like, nah.
It's interesting because whenever you get into a job position like that, because I've been in a very similar situation where a position for being over individuals to be a part of something like that comes up. And in that interview, they're going to ask you, what is your 5-year plan? What problems do you see? What gaps do you see? And what are you prepared to do in order to correct these situations? So he presented that information to, I'm assuming, whoever was interviewing him at the time, and I'm sure the CEO had some input on it, and they approved that then. So what happened?
And I'm assuming that maybe whoever was above him maybe focused a lot on what was commented on Twitter stuff and decided to roll with that, as opposed to just being like, hey, we have this direction for the game and we're going to go with it. And, if we do that, that just shows we're committed. More people will either leave and more people will come in, or you'll just play it as it is.
Let me throw this out there, though. Who got the promotion?
Radar.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not
especially,
saying somebody would do shitty stuff to get a promotion, but
yeah.
some people do.
Well,
I honestly thought he was one of the ones that had left for another game a while ago.
He left as a community manager. Right?
he
He stepped down to run something else, and that's when.
well, they promoted him to be like the lead community
Manager over everything. Like,
yeah, the correspondent.
So he
I know we
worked
just
his
didn't
way
hear as
up.
much from him.
So he went from community manager to running.
To running a studio.
Yeah.
Damn.
He went from community manager to being over the individual community
the
managers.
American dream.
Yeah.
And he would have been in all that chain of command. He would have been in all that. Like,
oh yeah,
been there,
absolutely.
heard stuff. Maybe even, bend some ears, little finger. He's like, come here. Let me tell you something. I don't know.
It's very interesting, right?
He hasn't been a dev for 10 years.
No. Whenever you look at his LinkedIn profile, well, let's do a little bit of resume investigations here. So, 10 Ton Hammer, community developer for 10 Ton Hammer from 2005 to 2009, senior community relations at Daybreak Games from July 2017, senior community manager at Wargaming America from 2017 to 2019, and then Hi-Rez, he joined in, it looks like in 2020, at least this is when it was updated, as the lead community specialist, and then worked up to director of player experience, and then lead producer.
Damn.
And it says here that lead producer for Rogue Company, January 2023 to present, which is around the same time that Jared became the lead designer.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this is something that happened behind the scenes, and then they just kind of like slotted Paladins and Realm Royale under his belt.
Yeah. Which, that's what makes me worry more than anything, I'm hoping we're going to have multiple teams, one for each game, as opposed to one whole team developing 3 games because that's going to everything.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you probably will end up getting the every 3-month battle pass phases because they'll work on paladins this month, they'll work on rogue next month, then they'll work on realm royal the next month, and then restart the cycle again.
Right. And that, so when it comes down to like, if we're looking at different like components of a gaming studio, you would think that like you would have the person in charge, which at this point is going to be Radar, and then there should be a team under him with a lead designer or a lead, whatever you want to call it,
of each game.
And then under that should be your programmers, your graphic artists, and everything. And with that, we've seen it in the past. They've talked about it in the past. We've experienced it with Paladins, DKO, Realm Royale, several games where they were sharing responsibilities for people that were programmers, for people that were graphic artists and all this stuff. So it makes sense to pull that group of individuals together. And it's like, here's your work assignments for the next 3 months, and it's going to continuously rotate, right?
Yep.
But you're still going to need people in charge of like steering that ship in the direction that it needs to go in terms of balance, in terms of innovation, in terms of bringing more players into it. One team is not going to be able to do that.
That way, if it is like the team working on it, if you have the lead developers or whatever, they can be like, this is what we're working on. We're focusing this and this.
Yeah. Because you have to imagine if they go to that 3-month battle pass, they're going to lump major gameplay changes in with that as well. So that gives them a good way to keep a constant rotation going with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that this is, a lot of people are looking at this as a negative, especially with Jared leaving. And at the end of the day, this is what I'm going to say about Jared. Jared was put in a Kobayashi Maru. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was in a no-win scenario.
Yeah.
Was he the third lead developer at this point?
Third or fourth.
Or fourth, exactly.
Yeah.
And everything was already so muddied and fucked up when he came into it, man.
Yeah.
And he really tried at first.
He did.
But then something happened along the way where,
dude, we were all with him until he reverted those SMG changes.
Mm-hmm.
When he reverted that, we were like, "Oh, dude, what are you doing?"
Yeah, top brass, man.
Yeah.
But look who got the promotion. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's in a turnaround off of,
I
joined in 2020, and
good for him.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to say that, like, in the last episode of the BROGUECAST, people can listen to that episode, because I actually went back and listened to the first part of that episode today, actually, and it can come off as being overly harsh. But at the end of the day, like, Jared was put into that position, and what was he honestly able to accomplish? And I don't think that that's taken away from his accomplishments, but at the end of the day, the game has gone full circle in 6 months, and we haven't really gotten anywhere. So,
legitimately haven't gotten anywhere.
Yeah.
The experience might be worse now.
I paid money to play
6
this
months
game.
Ago.
What's harsh about wanting it to work right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the only reason I'm saying the experience might be worse now is it feels like the servers are worse.
This is what I will say about that. Playing tonight, like, you know that dead time at the end of the match?
Mm-hmm.
60, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, a minute and a half.
It's like, what happened? Oh.
It's like, we did have some server issues where we were getting hitching and network disconnects occasionally. But as far as like when the games were running good, they were running good. I don't know if that has anything to do with Switch being turned off or anything like that, but there was there was less weird interaction things that were happening. And when they did happen, it happened globally, of course, as it always does. Even the hitching was happening to both me and Rubio whenever we were playing together. So like, it's just, I think the servers are, like, when they're running correctly, they're in a better spot, but when they're not running correctly, then it's just network disconnect, lag, the hitching, the whole 9 yards, you know? And at the end of the day, like, from this article and from what's happened and knowing who these people are, like, what do you think that this is a bad move? Do you think that this is going to be very detrimental to the game overall?
Just gonna keep trucking.
I mean, it feels like it's a repetitive cycle, right?
Yeah, it's just gonna keep trucking, dude. Same old same.
Yeah.
I'm even all right with the 3 months.
Yeah, the 3-month
We
battle
go back to
pass.
that because
Yeah.
this fucking 35 days shit out to lunch
It's for the
for
birds.
me.
Yeah.
The bird.
Some people can't fucking sit on their goddamn game 24/7. You know?
Yeah, right. And I mean, this is something that should have happened. It never made any sense why they split all of their studios up to begin with, especially if they're going to have to battle through red tape constantly. Constantly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Probably taxes.
Well, yeah. I mean, I
Probably why they did that.
I get that.
Small company.
Yeah. And whenever you look, I've got an actual breakdown of the history of Hi-Rez here.
History of Hi-Rez?
Hi-Rez was
When
founded
did it
in
start?
it was founded in 2005. Let me pull this up.
Oh,
It has a minimum of 450 people working there.
damn.
Yeah, minimum. So it was established in 2005. Erez Gorin and Todd Harris banded together to form a new game development outfit called Hi-Rez Studios. Former City of Heroes and Call of Duty devs were recruited to focus on churning out a hit library of online shooters, and competitive titles. Eventually, the team would spawn such works like Tribes, Ascend, Smite, and Paladins. In 2010, Global Agenda stormed the scene to very solid reviews and strong community enthusiasm. Players enjoyed flying around on jetpacks and fighting in the game's several different PvP modes, including Breach, Control, and Payload. For the PvE-minded, there was additional co-op dungeons that teams could attempt to beat with a certain time limit. And for the truly organized, agency versus agency territory battles would rage over the game map. The game went live in 2010. So Global Agenda went live in 2010. Let's see. In April of 2011, Global Agenda became the first free-to-play game released on the Steam platform, introducing elite and free agents and in-game cash shop featuring agenda points. In 2013, Hi-Rez Studios representative Todd Harris announced the company's abandonment of the game on July the 12th of 2013. 2015,
Well, dude, that's what happens when you get your game name from Alex Jones.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying.
Global, yeah, right. I know, right? Right here.
Sorry.
Okay, right here. Hi-Rez Studios. This was in 2018. Ezra Gorin founded Hi-Rez Studios with Todd Harris in 2005. They hired. We've already been through that. Hi-Rez Studios employs more than 200 people at its development facility in the northern Atlanta suburb of Alpharetta. In August of 2018, the company split into 3 separate development studios. The Hi-Rez Studios Twitter account tweeted on February the 5th, 2019, that they had fired community manager Thomas Chung after being arrested on charges of child sex soliciting along with 20 others in a joint sting operation by Georgia Bureau of Investigation and Georgia Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force.
Peter File.
Yeah.
Paging Peter File.
So they canceled in 2017 here. It says, as we wrote back in 2017, the game wasn't so much canceled as it was ignored out of existence. Hi-Rez took it off. This was a Global Agenda. Hi-Rez took it off Steam, but left the servers up and running, marooning a dwindling population of diehard players to the game of their choice. After that situation didn't even last as a server move in 2018 ended up killing the game beyond recovery. 2019, they announced Redbeard Games in their Brighton office. It goes more in depth, but it covers like Global Agenda and Tribes, because I think Tribes was the first thing that they worked on. They got the IP for Tribes and they were developing a new Tribes game, and then they did
Yeah,
Global
they had a
Agenda.
Tribes too.
Yeah. But the thing is with like Hi-Rez is like, let's look at Overwatch for a second. Like Overwatch and Paladins were being developed at the same time. They were they were somewhat similar as they were hero shooters, but they were completely different in execution. And, Overwatch is made by Blizzard, and it is a huge thing. And they did a beta, and it blew up. And in turn, that helped Paladins blow up because people could play Paladins then. Yeah. They couldn't play Overwatch at that time. And then they morphed the game and morphed the game and morphed the game and morphed the game into a point where it was just miserable for players to play. And that's around the time that I stopped playing it. And then now they've gone in and they've actually made a conscious effort to fix Paladins as a game. And whenever me and Marina played it a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago at this point, like, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it looks dated because they're using like Unreal Engine 3, or Unreal Engine 2. But as far as like how the game's balanced, the flow of the game, the TTK of the game, all that stuff, it still feels really, really good. It feels better than it ever has. It doesn't feel like that there's a specific meta. It comes down more to like how your team can work together against the enemy team, regardless of how many tanks you have, how many supports you have. Like, purchases in game and how you build your characters out are impactful in the game, which is the way that it should have been to begin with, So
hopefully Rogue gets the same treatment.
Exactly.
They know they have something.
Yeah,
they do.
And that's why they do those when they spread out with the companies. They're like, all right, you guys go over here and try to find something that sticks to the wall.
Yeah.
23 million downloads. That stuck.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
Well, dude,
but there's something there.
Well, when
like Paladins, I prefer Paladins over Overwatch.
Yeah,
that's just me.
When Rogue Company was released, was there anything like that?
No.
Like, was there a third-person tactical shooter in that same vein, like that had hero shooter elements?
Throw that in. You have to throw that in.
That's crossplay.
If you do that, it narrows it down to no.
And you have people come in there, like, that's the thing. There's not a firmly established identity of where they want the game to go. When it first came out, it was like tactical, everything else like strikeout, things like that.
Have an identity.
Yeah. All
They're
that.
Like, bring the 23 million back. They're like, we're trying.
Yeah, we're doing everything that way.
It didn't work.
Well, and it's like you get Pretty Harry in there as a lead designer, and he starts balancing everything around respawn game modes. But where's the player increase by doing that? You're making things worse for the competitive players that play single life game modes. Well, we're not worried about that. We want to bring people. We want to appeal to the COD crowd and the Fortnite crowd. This isn't COD or Fortnite.
No.
This is completely different than both of those games.
If you play COD, you play COD. You don't play Rogue Company.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how that goes.
It's two very different games.
Yeah. So I'm going to touch on this article real quick, and then we will get back to a little bit of the discussions here because I'm going to pull that Reddit post. But this was posted in January the 23rd of 2019. Hi-Rez appoints new CEO as founder Erez Gorin steps down after 15 years. Erez Gorin, Hi-Rez founder and CEO, is stepping down after 15 years leading the company. He will be succeeded by Stu Chisholm, the company's current vice president of operations. The studio split into three multiple wholly owned development studios last year, comprising of Titanforge Games, which develops Smite, Evil Mojo, which works on Paladins, and Heroic Leap, which focuses on Realm Royale, all of which are supported by Alacrity Art House, which provides various art services, in quotation marks. This change has been critical to giving our development teams the structure, resources, and feeling of personal ownership they need to best support their players and games into the future, Chisholm said in a recent blog post. 2018 was by far the best year for Hi-Rez. Looking ahead to 2019, we are more excited than ever about the future. While Chisholm takes the role of CEO, Gorin will continue to have input on the company's strategy and the fantastic gaming experiences and communities Hi-Rez creates. By continuing to serve as chairman of the board, he also remains as the majority owner. Additionally, Chris Larson has stepped up to assume responsibility for running all of Hi-Rez Game Studios and driving forward its various creative development teams. This is a natural transition for Chris, who ran Smite for many years and most recently navigated the Paladins team through a crucial point in its life cycle in 2018, Chisholm added. In this expanded role, Chris will ensure that each game studio is taking advantage of best practices learned elsewhere in the company, and that they have the necessary resources needed for success. 2018 exceeded our growth expectations on almost every metric. We saw very strong revenue growth across the company, and that has translated to continued employee growth and the ability to make over long-term investments on our side, Chisholm told GL.biz. We have over 450 employees now, plus a strong network of outside companies that we utilize for contracting work. That scale gives us the ability to take on projects we could have only dreamed about a short time ago, which is very exciting and we hope sets up for more growth over the coming years. So on the heels of this was in 2019, they release the Rogue Company closed beta in 2020, right?
Mhm.
And then they open it up for everybody in October of 2020. And the success that the game brought and the money that they had made previously, they're like, we're greenlighting everything that we possibly can Rogue Company related. We're not going to focus on developing the game and getting things set up for longevity of the game. We're going to focus on the right now. This is what we need for the right now. And the logical thing that they should have done, which was make a battle royale out of it since everybody wanted one, they didn't do that. They wanted to make a PvE mode. They wanted to make story modes. They wanted to make all this other stuff in the Rogue Company universe. And the mobile version is the biggest example. They sunk time, money, development teams, the whole 9 yards into it. Just for it, it's not even mentioned in any of these articles. They are pretending like the mobile version for Rogue Company Elite, does not exist.
Well, it doesn't, right?
I mean, not anymore.
Not
Oh, yeah.
anymore.
There you go.
But where's those hundreds of thousands of dollars that they sunk into it? Tax
Yeah.
write-off?
Oh, yeah, you
Scott,
can.
you
That's a
know,
loss. That's,
I mean, all that.
hell, it actually
he's going
help
to.
you.
Yeah.
Probably. It'll help your taxes. Got some. We took a loss here, you know?
Yeah.
Chisholm, dude. When I think of Stewart, I think of that old Mad TV skit where he's like, I don't want to go, you know?
Yeah.
They bring him in there. We're thinking about throwing in, we're going to take out weapon registry. No, you know?
Yeah.
Puts his foot out on him.
It's bad, man. Like whoever, this is all I'm
looking
say.
at him.
Whoever greenlights and makes decisions for the company as a whole honestly has no idea what they're doing. Like
Lost touch 15 years ago when they joined.
Exactly. Like, why are you going to greenlight so many projects? DKO, they took a gamble on that. They're like, we're going to appeal to the Smash Brothers camp.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, basically.
Supposedly.
That's what it
It's not a
is,
good
but
attempt,
like,
dude.
Yeah.
well, here's the thing: there's already Smash Brothers.
Yeah. Why would I play Wish?
Why would I
Smash
play
Brothers?
that? Yeah. Why would I
When I
play
could
with
just
Tim
play
the
Smash
Tap Man when I could play with fucking Link or Pikachu or
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just bad ideas. It's bad business sense. And like, whenever the reins get tightened, and we've seen this in the past with Evil Mojo or with Hi-Rez, when the reins get tightened and they need to start like making moves and making money, then
It's got to roll.
that they panic. And it's like,
Yeah.
if I was the CFO, I would be like, what about all this money that you spent on all this dumb shit?
Yeah.
Well, dude, how many people are going to lose their job over this?
Who
All
knows?
I know is Jared, but
Yeah.
if
That's
they're
some
laying
people,
off
I'm
people that
sure.
have been there for 10 years,
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
like that's,
Well, that-
whoa,
what-
new people go first sometimes.
Yeah, I understand the idea of restructuring a lot of the times. It's just trying to get a different direction and stuff. But when you hear about that, when you hear that people that have been there 10 plus
The
years
veterans.
are going, it makes me worried that there's money troubles that we're not hearing
For
about.
sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then that's what's got me worried about the development teams. Are they going to pay enough people to handle 3 fucking games?
They bought plane tickets for people overseas to come over here and play in a championship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And normally you would have an org that would do that for you.
Yeah.
That's how that works. You promote stuff. But I don't think anybody would. They're like, we're not going to promote this. Nobody's going to see it.
Yeah.
You got 200 people watching it on Twitch. What?
Well, dude, when they were doing the Paladins League stuff, they moved for like most of the teams, not every team, but most of the teams. They got them a house and moved everybody into the house in the Atlanta area.
Whoa.
Yes. So you would have like 7 teams of individuals in different houses.
So a big house.
In different.
$10,000 a month, maybe.
More. And there's like 7 of them. You know what I'm saying?
For a big house?
Yeah, because, I mean.
Yeah, in Atlanta? Yeah.
Yeah. Like that, and then they got rid of the Paladins Esports League stuff, and it's like, well, no fucking wonder. You're housing a team has to have a minimum of 5 players. Then they also have normally 2 subs. Then they also have coaches and other people. So you're looking at 10 to 15 individuals that you're housing. Not to mention their wives.
Paying for everything, food, bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're getting everything paid.
Yeah.
You're on the clock.
Like, why are they trying to the same people established the Skill Shot Media esports, Atlanta esports complex, right? Chisholm was over that. He's the one that come up with that idea and everything. Other than Paladins and Rogue Company, I don't think I've seen anybody play at this Skill Shot Media fucking thing.
I don't want to go. Look at me.
Yeah.
Dude, Call of Duty doesn't have to do that. They don't have to pay. Like teams get an org and come there and play.
Yeah.
It sounds like they tried to do that. They were like, we're going to fucking spread out through esports.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but when people watch it, they're like, hell yeah. Then they get on the game. Because if I watch a tournament of a Rogue Company, I want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes me want to play.
Yeah.
But then you get on there and it's like, oh no.
This is not the same.
If I wasn't here with my friends, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it's bad decisions overall. Just terrible decision making. Terrible decision making.
Dude, they came out of beta just so they could spend all that extra money on that tournament.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what happened there.
Yeah. So, and this is the last thing that I'm going to hit on. I did put a post up over on Reddit explaining the situation, basically breaking everything down, kind of in layman's terms, because I told people, Tony Jones, that they needed to tweet something out that was like, the game's not shutting down. Nobody needs to worry about the game. No, we can't do that. Okay, well, I'm going to go make a post. So I did. And I basically take the article and I break it down as to the economy sucks. We don't know what's going to happen with the economy. Everything's in the air. These are the things that happen, consolidate, and, people are getting cut. This was my final thoughts on it. And I asked people to leave comments on it. I understand that this is a beefy article, but I don't want the community as a whole to have the wrong impression of the game moving forward. Nowhere in the article does it say that Rogue Company will no longer receive support or that it is shutting down, just that there is a shuffle within the company. We have seen this several times as many lead designs for Rogue Company have touched this game and moved on to other products or other companies. The last paragraph is my summary of everything. What clearly needs to happen moving forward is a firm direction for the game. We have currently gone through many different versions of Rogue Company that have all been balanced or tweaked for different game modes, different TTKs, and different directions the various design leads of the past have pushed for. This inconsistency seems to have lost more players over the years than it has gained. You can't appeal to the COD crowd if the game doesn't play like COD in any discernible fashion. Can't appeal to the Fortnite crowd since the game lacks the identity and mechanics that Fortnite has spent the past several years establishing. Making the game easier for players as opposed to more accessible for newer players has also not helped the game. If you make something easier for all players, veterans are going to be much more proficient at the game and cause a huge disparity in overall skill for the game. you create something that is easier to access and learn, newer players could grasp these core mechanics and use them as stepping stones to get better at the game naturally, creating a much more rewarding play experience as opposed to let's crank these specific knobs all the way up so new players feel like they are contributing. This also comes with the caveat that matchmaking seems to be hit and miss the majority of the time due to wanting to keep queue times as low as possible. Queue times may be low, but so is the current player base according to the Steam charts. Are these two things directly correlated? Who knows at this point? Possibly a mixture of matchmaking, skill depravity, and server issues. Speaking of server issues, I don't want to speak for the entire player base here, but I do feel that most people can deal with bugs, balance issues, and lack of content if they can stay connected to the game long enough to finish a match without issue. Also, a severe lack of content has certainly plagued the game since it was released from beta a year ago. Yes, we are getting more event passes, but the uninspired nature of these passes, coupled with the half-hearted ranked rewards that were introduced and a complete lack of new store content, has made Rogue Company feel more like a game that has been out for 15 years as opposed to 3 years. Hopefully the team at Evil Mojo can recognize these glaring issues and make a real push to correct them. There is a post here that I want to highlight by Fuzzy Pie. This is a post that came in not long after the original post was made that leads into some information about what's happening here. So, Fuzzy Pies, few things to note. This might, Fuzzy Pie's take, highly speculative. Tony Jones, previously known to be the director of player experience, also known as Radar X or Hi-Rez Radar, is now the head honcho of Paladins and ROCO. He now has twice the responsibilities as before, which could mean less attention to ROCO, because Paladins has a much larger player base than ROCO, no doubt. Ares Gordon, who was known for fucking up Paladins and Realm Royale, who presumably stepped down as CEO for other ventures, has been reinstated as CEO from his chairman consultant position. If this doesn't tell you how desperate Hi-Rez board must be to demote Stuart Chisholm to a mere head of a software-as-a-service focused company, president of Hi-Rez Ventures, to limit the damage done by his recent failures such as Divine Knockout, Realm Royale Reforged, you must be crazy not to think so. That being said, during Chisholm's tenure as Hi-Rez CEO, based on what limited public info we know, he has established several subsidiaries: Scaleshot Media, which is the production studio for the events, Prophecy Games, First Watch Games, Redbeard Games, which did Divine Knockout, Rally Here Interactive, which is software as a service. There are probably more subsidiaries, but I can't find them. Replacing one fuck up for another fuck up who has been consulting, micromanaging from the sidelines for the company over the past 4 years isn't a good look for Hi-Rez. Other than Smite and to a smaller extent Paladins, every other live service title is not doing well, including Star Siege, which has a non-existent population in their early access demo. The demise of this company is coming if they do not get their shit together, and the consolidation of subsidiaries only means they're hemorrhaging funds, and that is the only way to stem the bleeding. So what does this mean for ROCO? Depending on how much resources Radar allocates for ROCO, it could either be the same or things are going downhill for ROCO.
Somebody might be asleep.
I think Garbo is.
Is he?
He's snoring.
He's not.
Is that what that was?
That's
Yeah.
what that was a couple of times. I even turned it up. I was like,
Yeah. What's going on over here?
past that. I get it. Did you
Combo.
on that website, dude? Did you look at the website where you have that link where you can go in there and look at the timeline? Did you see their revenue?
It was
25 million a
Yeah.
year, dude.
25 million.
A year.
That's good. That's
That's
great.
good money for a small game. Why would you split all this up? Like, you don't split up everything, man. You try to build a brand. Like,
Yeah. Whenever you look at
was
that,
dumb.
whenever you look at the competitors, so you got Hi-Rez 25 million, EA 7 billion, Daybreak
Sure.
Games 25 million, 343 Industries 31 million. You've got Atari.
Also a private company, though.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind. So, but what
Yeah.
it sounds like is the board is taking over. The board
Yeah.
moved
They're
up.
done
Was like,
with it.
Whoa, bro.
Yeah.
Slow roll. We're losing money. You
Yeah.
know?
2K that does the 2K basketball games,
Yeah.
they're
That's a shitload
reported
of money. Right.
7.5 million, 3,000 employees.
A
According
year
to
they
this.
make $7 million.
That's what it says. I don't know if that's true or not, but this is
Well,
what it's.
It would just depend on what people spend.
Yeah. I mean, in this comparison, so they're
Good
comparable
money.
to 343 Industries, which owns the Halo property. 343 is making 31 million. Hi-Rez is making 25 million. 343 has 450 employees. Hi-Rez has 451 employees. So they're not far off from where 343 Industries, that has one of the most known video game franchises ever at their helm. And if that doesn't tell you that like Hi-Rez is like has poor management on their spending and what they're able to do,
Yeah.
I don't know what else
Bad
does.
decisions were made
Very bad decisions.
for a lot of employees.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how many.
I know, right? At the end of the day, and this is what I think needs to happen. I think that they need to put someone in charge like a Jared that has a clear identity of where the game should go. And they should start balancing the game in that way and make a mission
Need a
statement.
timeline. Need something.
Yeah, exactly.
You just go off. What do they want this week? Oh,
Well, look at whenever we quit playing Paladins to now, they've added probably 15 characters into the game. Maybe more. Maybe 20 characters. They have over 50 playable characters in that game.
so it's pretty balanced then. That's what that should.
Yes, exactly.
It's balanced, so they can
Should
just throw a
be,
bunch
yeah.
of characters in there. Now those people can work on that.
Exactly. And they're keeping the game updated. They're making small tweaks where they need to, but they're introducing new content. They're putting new maps. They're putting new cosmetics. They're putting new characters in the game. Rogue Company should have came at least out of beta, if not halfway through their beta cycle, with the game balance. They started where they first fucked up was their original TTK changes. They
was
should have
it, dude.
never fucking done that shit. Never. They should have never touched it. They should have just kept trucking the course, made small tweaks here and there, maybe updated some of the characters, maybe added more characters into it or things like that. But someone over there had a fucking genius
Someone.
idea that
He almost
fucked
got
everything.
90.
That
Yeah, it
fucked
was him.
everything.
Pretty sure it was him.
If
Pretty sure
you-
that's why he's not there no more.
If you wanted the TTK to be different, then you should have released the game in closed beta with the different TTK. That's what you should have done. It just goes to show you that while the game was actively in development, they weren't keeping track of like time to kill and statistics like that until they released it as a live service. Then they're getting the information in and it's like, well, you know, we could do some things to improve this. And it's like, if it's not broke, then why try to fix it?
And then the whole aim assist thing. That was a
Mm-hmm.
aim gate. Like,
Yeah.
God damn, do something.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna have a tournament.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So this is my final thoughts. If they get their shit together, if they get someone that can spearhead this in the right direction, then they can make something beautiful out of this. And their idea of maintaining the game and adding new things into it, like new weapons, new characters, and things like that, can come to fruition. But they don't have an identity for the game still. They don't know what they're doing with the game or what they're going to do with the game. And that's a huge disservice to the fan base, because you have to imagine that the player base for the game like this is high enough to justify it, right? If not, they would have shut it
Still
down.
there. Oh yeah.
The only
It makes
reason,
money.
yeah, the only reason DKO hasn't been shut down is because they haven't completed their plan. So Rogue
Yeah, it hadn't
Company,
even been out a year, you know,
Yeah.
like whatever the
Yeah.
showrunner's doing over there.
yeah, like Rogue Company, the only reason they came out of beta was because they promised whoever it was, the CEO, the board members, whatever, that they would have the game released within 2 years, even though it wasn't ready to be released. That's not something that I was told by anybody, but that is just the reality. It wasn't ready to come out. Why did they release it? That's exactly why they released it. That's the reason why DKO hasn't been shut down. They've got to finish their development cycle through and through to that. We're going to open it up for everybody. And then at that point, it's probably going to shut down, or they're going to cancel the game. They're going to remove it off of all platforms, and they're going to say, we're going to rework the game and try to re-release it. But they're working on another unannounced Smite property when they've got one that just fucking tanked. Like, what are you doing? Why are you working on another Smite property when the one you just released fucking tanked? It's insane.
If they want to release a new game based on a current property, I recommend release a Battle Royale, Battle Zone, Rogue Company game.
Yeah.
With
Take it out of
Unreal
our
5.
fucking game and then make it its own game.
Unreal 5.
Yeah.
New.
I genuinely think they could be successful.
Yeah.
I do like the mechanics of Battle Zone. I just think that if you tweak it a little bit here and there with like map sizes and other things, it could be a really good game.
Yeah.
They'll start
Agreed.
another company and do that. They did Jared dirty.
Oh, yeah.
They put him in there
Oh, for
and was
sure.
like, fix the game. And he was like, he had a vision, man. He was coming
And
out.
they didn't
He
give
was
him
like,
a lot
"Here's
of time to do it.
He was like, here's what I'm going to do. Started like, I'm going after melees. I'm fucking,
Yeah.
He was on a warpath to fix the game. And he just, for some reason, one day, something happened.
Yeah.
He wasn't allowed to do that anymore. And then, it's like, not his fault. He was on the right path.
Yeah.
Because when he was
Then
first
something
talking, I
happened.
remember thinking he's talking like a dude that plays this game a
Our
lot and
savior's
is
here.
pissed about the things that matter.
Yeah.
Well, like he said, he was like, I was there watching him,
Yeah.
work on the game. Like, why are you not doing this? But he wasn't in that chain of command where it's like, no, change
Yeah.
it back.
Exactly.
That's what happened. He changed those SMGs. We didn't even get the ARs. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
And then the next day, they're back. They're better. Damn, this dude did a 180 on us. What
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
Not the same guy. I
Yeah.
feel bad for him.
I do too.
I
Good
really
guy.
do. But somebody got a promotion.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. So before we get into the next section, this is what I'm going to end this part on. If depending on the information, because there's no information right now, depending on how they change things for Rogue Company, is going to really determine what happens to Broadcast moving forward. If there's no substantial updates other than battle passes and just small, tiny little tweaks here and there, then there's no reason to try to continue doing a podcast about a game when it's not receiving proper updates any longer, right?
It can be mentioned,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
but it can't be a full hour and a half about it.
Yeah. So depending on what the developers and what Evil Mojo and Radar, Tony Jones, decides to do moving forward is going to determine the direction the podcast goes. And whenever there's a decision made, there will be a final broadcast that will come out. And it's inevitable. There will be a final broadcast at some point, but it may happen sooner than we all thought. And when that happens,
Sadly.
yeah. And when that happens, everybody will know, and we'll also have a plan for the future. And they'll,
Agency 88.
yes, there'll be something beautiful come of it for sure. So, but you guys ready to do this special secondary segment that we have here?
Carbo, you awake?
Mm-hmm.
Feel better?
Little power nap in.
I didn't take any power naps.
You didn't?
Boy, you were snoring.
Nah, you'll hear it.
No, it's
there.
my dog. I wasn't snoring.
Whenever they started yelling at you, you never said nothing. Like, it's okay, man. It happens.
Well,
It's
if y'all
all
were
right.
yelling at me, then I must have muted y'all.
We could hear you snoring when it was happening. You were like,
Yeah.
you were.
That's crazy.
You don't
But
sound
I
like you were
don't
asleep.
remember.
Dude,
it.
Chisholm put you to
I
sleep.
don't
Of course you don't
remember.
remember. You were asleep.
Yeah, you
But
were
I
asleep,
don't-
Chisholm, dude.
I mean, okay.
That's how that works when somebody's like,
That's
you
fine.
know, dude. You know when you
It's
fall
okay.
asleep, they just look at you and you wake up. You're like, I wasn't asleep.
Yeah.
Like,
Marina
yeah,
does
everybody
fine,
does it.
man.
I'm like, oh, fuck, I was asleep. Fuck off. I'm tired.
Marina does that all the time to me.
Yeah, my eyes. I'm
Yeah,
resting
of
my eyes.
course.
Y'all heard that one, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Welcome to a very special community creator spotlight section of the broadcast. So, full disclosure, we recorded this with everybody. Tally was there. She was a witness to all this. And something weird happened with OBS. So, we're re-recording it with Thief here, unfortunately. It was a disaster. It was awful, but we're back. We're back in the thing. Thief made some time. We both made some time. We're in here. We're doing it. So everybody, this is Thief. Hello, Thief.
It is I. It is I. We're back. Yeah, I mean, first one went well as well. Like, the boys had things to say. I had my things to say. I had a lot on my mind, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what? I don't know what happened with OBS, but hey, we're here. Me and Griffin are here. You know, I would love to have the boys again for another one, but you know what? It's time we cannot make. And yeah, here we are.
It'd be like
Griffin and I.
it's it's one of those situations where that episode is still there. Like it's uploaded on YouTube, and like on the YouTube side of it, it doesn't sound it's not as bad. So for the people that want the first pass through, all you gotta do is just become a broadcast supporter, and you can go back and you can watch the entire thing and see the entire thing. So, but it has been a week since we've recorded it, and it's been a week since we the first half of the broadcast, which you just heard, was basically us breaking down the entire Hi-Rez situation as a whole. And we've both had a little bit of time to kind of sit on it and kind of like gestate it just a little bit here, and kind of like have less of an emotional look at it and more of like an analytical look at it. So after setting on everything for about a week, how do you feel right now on the Hi-Rez situation with Jared's exit and them moving it under Evil Mojo and the entire situation?
I'll still say this. Less emotionally this time, because last time I kind of went in on Jared. Gonna cut him some slack today. I'm just gonna say, like, Jared didn't do much really to change the game. I'm not gonna go back and point out every single wrong thing he did. He did a couple of right things. It was rare, but
Yeah.
I would still like say he didn't achieve as much as we would have expected, giving the high hopes we were given, giving the promises he gave us, and all the the community things he did. All those were positive things, but they weren't positive actions. They were positive words. That's the
Yes.
difference,
Right.
and that for me is the reason. Like, I don't know how to feel about Jared leaving, because I don't want to get another Jared situation, for one, but for two, I feel like I cannot like say I don't have any hopes for the game, because now that we got new, people working on the game, it might be a positive. We never know, but I'm not gonna put all my hope in.
Right. And looking at it from kind of how everything played out up to this point, whenever Jared kind of came into the fold, introduced himself to the creators, and then put himself out there, there was a statement that they released kind of introducing the community to who Jared is. And I would say that the community mentality from that weird period of like not really hearing or seeing anything really going on with the game to them introducing Jared, there was a pretty positive response from the community as a whole with what with Jared and what his vision and direction for the game was going to be. And I mean, he was pretty transparent about the situation, basically saying like, look, we've got to start balancing some of these weapons a little bit better. We've got to start looking at things from a different perspective as far as how perks work and all these other things. and he had community backing. And even when like the SMG changes and stuff started happening, you had a small subset of that community that was kind of upset about the SMG changes, but there was still a pretty reasonable size of the community that was like, look, it's not done yet. It's not done until it's done. And it's going to continuously evolve until they get to a point to where they need to be. And then out of nowhere, they were basically like reverted back to a degree. Do you feel like that was, because it's easy to look at it, it's like, well, the squeaky wheels are the ones that kind of got under their skin. But do you feel like that was a conscious decision by the man himself to make that decision? Or do you think that he was kind of forced to make that decision?
I don't think he was forced per se, but he was pressured into it by the community. The small community that was saying the SMGs are now trash. You know, at the time, sure, the SMGs were probably one of the worst options to use, yes. Not close range, still they were good close range, don't get me wrong. But the pressure got to them and they didn't understand what we were saying. The people who are actually criticizing them, you know, constructively. What we were saying was damage range. We weren't saying bloom. We weren't saying accuracy.
Yeah.
We were talking specifically about the SMG's damage range. Because before they first nerfed them or balanced them, the D40, for example, could beam you from across the map like it's the Mamba.
Yeah.
You know, it would kill you the same, like it would take the same TTK the Mamba would take, or the Deadeye at the time, or maybe even like the MXR.
Yeah.
It was probably better than the MXR at the time. And it's SMG, you know? And the accuracy is no problem. I always say this with guns that are not supposed to be long range, the more you shoot them, the more bloom they have, and the like less damage range they should have. Because like SMGs could kill you in instant from across the map at the time.
Right.
And it would do the same damage it would do damn near when you're like point blank range, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, that's the point of the community. We were telling them that they should reduce that. They did that with the shotguns perfectly well. They balanced the shotguns right, but they couldn't do it right with other things.
Right. And whenever, you know, they did that first initial pass and they kind of reworked the Spitfire into how they would balance the SMGs based off of like having hard range limitations on it. And you know, Jared was very vocal about like, look, the Spitfire is going to kind of be that representation where if we balance it around this way, this is going to be kind of what it feels like versus the way that we're kind of approaching the idea of balance from this perspective. And there's some people like that can have a healthy conversation in the community about, okay, you know, what would you prefer more? Because my standpoint on it was always like, if you're going to make them harder to control at range, but still do decent damage at range and also have the accuracy be reduced quite a bit, there needs to be at least a small bit of consistency in there where like your first one or two shots should be pinpoint accurate so that you can take pop shots at people with any of the SMGs and you can still hit them and pepper them, especially whenever you're playing against snipers and things like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Exactly. It does feel like at a point that he just kind of threw his hands in the air and was just like, screw it. I'm just going to basically, because what it feels like was that the ranges and everything else was reverted back to the way they were before, and the accuracy was loosened up on all of the SMGs.
Night became better. I'll tell you that. The Night became better because the Night now across the map does 10 damage to the body if you hit your shots right, which is tough to hit, but it does 10 damage across the goddamn map. That is insane damage range.
Yeah.
That's insane for a SMG, right? It doesn't have a fall off. I think it just has one fall off. It does 16 up close and then it does 10 all the way across the map.
Yeah.
And that is crazy for a SMG. You know what I'm saying? And then it does 16 or 17 to the head across the map.
Yeah.
Which is not right. And before they nerfed the Night, I think he used to do 6 to 8 across the map, and it's just like they didn't know how to revert that, but they knew how to revert everything else. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, right. And I think it comes down to like the fact that the way that Jared wanted to balance the weapons versus how the community was vocal about the weapon. Because in order for him to increase or to decrease the accuracy of the weapons, but to still make them feel impactful at ranges, because of that, they had to add another fall off threshold into it. So SMGs were kind of like shotguns for a very long time, where they had 2 fall off thresholds. They added a third fall off threshold for SMGs to try to compensate for the accuracy. But whenever they were just like, okay, we're going to redo everything except for making the accuracy as tight as it can possibly be, they didn't remove that third fall off threshold there or adjust the fall off percentages. So, like, whenever you hit that first fall off threshold with the SMG, it's dropping the damage down by like 10%. It's still doing 90% of total damage. And to me, it's like, okay, if you either get rid of the third threshold at that point or make the third threshold a little bit closer, but have that damage fall off percentage go up substantially, because it's like 90% of damage at that first threshold. And then in between that second and third is where you're going to get that 90%. And then at that last fall off, it's doing like an additional 20% fall off on that, which with the knight and some of the other weapons, if you're taking 10% off of something that's so low already based on bullet, per shot damage, then you're only making a 1-shot difference that rounds up. So it's like you're not really making any difference to it. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly. And see, here's the thing, right, Griffin? Now that we have, like, okay, I'm gonna explain this so that people understand what I'm saying exactly in simple terms, right? If you guys have used the LMP at gold, this is exactly what we need the SMGs to be.
yeah.
It's pinpoint accurate, right? But the more you shoot it, the more bloom you get. That's exactly my point. And the longer distance, the harder it is to actually hit your bullets right, and the harder it is to kill someone.
Yeah.
With the D40 the other day, right? I got beamed by the D40 definitely more than mid range. I wouldn't say it's long range, but it's definitely long range.
Right.
And it's like I'm using a DMR. How does that make sense? And they still haven't worked on the issue we have at hand.
Yes.
They work on things that are irrelevant, really.
I agree. And like, to be fair, and this is kind of, I'm going to use this kind of as a jumping off point to go into the next topic, but like, whenever you look at body shot damage versus range for all of the weapons in the game right now, minus the SMGs, and I would lump in the majority of the SMGs, I would say like the Knight and the D40 are the outliers there. The body shot TTK of all the weapons right now feel right. The headshot damage multiplier, and then the 2 SMGs that are kind of the outliers in that situation, throws that TTK kind of on its head in a big way. So from my perspective moving forward, if they would take a look, because should DMRs have the high headshot multiplier that they have? Should these 2 SMGs that are problem weapons exist in the state that they are right now? For me moving forward, they need to look at that as a whole, because I think that the TTK feels good for the body shots. Adjust the headshot values and work in other things in the upgrade paths for the weapons to kind of capitalize on getting a little bit of more of an extra damage boost. Maybe get rid of some perks in the process, like crack shot, but moving forward, what do you think that they could do with the weapons, the rogues, the perks as a whole, to kind of put it in a more balanced, maintainable state? Because in the article, it said that they were going to continue maintenance for Realm Royale and for Rogue Company. Well, to me, maintenance means that they're going to get the games in a near as perfect state as they possibly can. And then once that happens, once you perform the maintenance to get the game where it needs to be, then you just drop content and keep the servers running at that point. So they've still got a long way to go, in my estimation, to be able to get to where they can just do maintenance on it. They've got to do a lot of work. So what would you, like, from your perspective, what would you do, or what do you think would be the right moves for them?
Well, I'd say first of all, balance SMGs, ARs, and DMRs. These are the 3 main things that need to be balanced. Because pistols, in my opinion, they're good. LMGs, they're in a good state, in my opinion. They're like, they can get the kills. Are they the best guns? No, but they can definitely get the kills if you know how to use them.
Right.
Shotguns are in probably the best state out of all guns, them and snipers, because they do what they're supposed to do, both of them. And honestly, like with perks, I'd say since they removed speed and toughness, they should remove evade and maybe not evade. Evade is kind of like a good perk to have to get out of situations because it only activates when you're getting shot at. But I'd say bulletproof needs to be taken out the game.
Yeah.
Because the TTK is a massive difference, and I've noticed it. Like if you're using, for example, using the SLC or the objection, which are like they're both very fast weapons.
Mhm.
You're trying to shoot at an anvil with bulletproof and armor. It's gonna take you more than a clip to get them killed.
Right.
Which is insane because you're putting a whole clip and you're still not getting the kill.
Yeah.
There's a problem. There is a problem with the TTK system, especially with bulletproof, because man, you have a hard time getting those kills with them.
Yes.
And sure, like it adds something to the game. I love the fact that it adds something to the game, bulletproof, but they have it added in the wrong way. Honestly,
I agree. And bulletproof and like shredder rounds, like some of the perks that were kind of intentionally introduced because of the speed and toughness and the way that they reworked the armor system. Since that speed and toughness isn't there, it's like, do we really need those? Because you could take some of the ideas of those perks and you could roll them over into abilities for some rogues in the future. Like, why can't there be a rogue that can absorb more damage through their body shots than another rogue? Like you take bulletproof and you wrap it into a passive ability, like, and maybe up the percentage, maybe like a legendary or a little bit higher than a legendary, then that makes that one rogue very, very unique. Like
exactly.
increase in damage range of weapons and things like that. Whenever you have gunsmith, shredder rounds and things like that, that should almost be baked into either A, passive abilities for new characters or upgrade paths for the weapon. Like the way I kind of justify it is like, if I upgrade the weapon, then you would think that like in that upgrade path, you already have like the light machine guns can be upgraded to where it does like bullet penetration damage. Like you can shoot through enemies and hit the enemies behind them. Well,
exactly.
Why isn't there certain weapons and certain weapon classes that have the ability to do more damage to armor? Like that would make
as you upgrade them, you're right. And because and most guns, like I look at it this way, right? I look at DMRs. Why should I get the Mamba to gold? Sure, the damage range becomes higher, but that's about it. Like purple, even then, you don't really need purple.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only weapons that you really benefit from getting to legendary at this point is the LMP and the 24S.
And the ones with suppressors, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're not using Ronin, for example, like you're using the Deadeye, you're using the MXR, using the Bishop, but the Bishop is on purple. Yeah, the HRM, the Riptide on purple. Yeah. And I understand why you would do that, but if you're running Ronin anyway, they're not gonna know where you are on the minimap.
Yeah.
And it's just like, other than that, why do you really need gold? There's not much of a reason you should put your gun on gold, realistically. Unless you just have extra money to spend, you put it there anyway.
Exactly. And then the same argument can be made for pistols. It's like, there's no legitimate reason to upgrade your pistols in any capacity at all.
Not at all, honestly. Yeah.
Unless you're going for a pistol only challenge or something goofy like that. In a real game of Rogue Company, there's no reason other than to just spend money on, unless you're Kestrel. And
exactly.
you bought everything,
The only pistol I upgrade is the revolver to blue for the extra headshot damage, but other than that, honestly, I don't see the point. Yeah. And I barely even use the pistols, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I kind of miss the pistol rounds in demo, to be honest. Like, I really enjoyed that play style. But
And it's only in ranked and ranked. It's just ranked is a shitty experience. It's been a bad experience to touch on in like the past couple of months. Like
Yeah.
the servers have been bad, sure, and we've like talked about it like more than we know, but like at the same time, put that aside, like the servers in general, in demo especially, not in demo, in ranked especially,
yeah,
whether it's demo or strikeout, one person leaves, whether they dodging, whether it is that they, for example, the internet disconnected for a second,
Yeah.
the whole lobby gets sent back, and
Right.
it's like I've been searching for a game from a range between 5 to 10 minutes already, and then you just tell me, return to lobby. Like seriously, it's just the experience there. This is, by the way, Griffin. I've hit Rogue since the season I started playing this game for real. I've hit
Right.
Rogue every single season. This is the only season I'm not even in Diamond.
That's
It just
crazy.
tells you how much like
Yeah.
the experience has been for me. I just don't care anymore for ranked.
Yeah.
Because of the system they have put. And it's like if somebody's dodging constantly, I think they should have deserter penalties when they get back for at least 10 minutes so that the next queue, they're not there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it used to work, by the way. They used to have a system for the deserter penalty. I remember one of my friends on pubs hit the close application because he wanted to do something on another application. Came back, he had a deserter penalty for 5 minutes. We had to wait for that.
Right.
Why is it now that people can do it on ranked and get nothing?
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand.
Which is crazy because, like, for ranked especially, they're going to have to put different, like, stipulations in there because, like, if you are going to dodge or leave a ranked match or anything like that happens, then sure, the deserter penalties are there to remind you that it's not cool to do that. But at a certain point, the devs are going to have to understand that, like, you're going to have to start disabling people to be able to even queue for ranked, period, for an entire season, for them to understand that what they're doing is not cool, So they really need to go in there and flesh that system. And this kind of goes into the next point here. It's like with the servers, with the matchmaking, with everything else that they have going on in the game right now. What moves do you think that the current dev team at Evil Mojo could do to not only keep the current players engaged in the game actively, but also bring in new players and keep new players when they bring them in?
So to keep new players in, so to bring them in, of course you need more new stuff, new players, new stuff. That's how it works with every
Right.
single game. And when you bring in new stuff, especially the people like that you have in the game already enjoy, those people can bring in new players. You're like, oh, try this. This game is nice.
Mm-hmm.
You want to play this game with me? And then they bring in new players. And that's one way to do it. And then the other way is to actually advertise, which I haven't seen them do at all. I haven't seen ROCOmpany anywhere advertised. That's how you get more new players. And the way to keep in new players playing the game is to consistently reward your players for playing the game, which they're not doing at all right now.
Exactly.
They are not doing at all. The daily login was one way. For me, honestly, when there was daily login, I would genuinely get in every day just to log in at least once and play a game. Because I'm like, okay, since I loaded in, might as well just play a game.
Yeah.
And the daily logins, they give you Robux, reputation points, and the boosts, which is exactly what I need. I need boosts right now, and I kid you not, I have everything in the shop. I have nothing else to buy in the shop. It's like all I want to do now is rank up my new rogues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just not like the rogues I haven't done. With I don't like to play with the rogues I didn't master yet, unless I have the boosts on, which I have none left, 0.
Yeah.
And so there's realistically, when I look at it, there's no reason for me to play the game. But I do enjoy the games. The reason I get on the game, but Other than that, honestly, like they have nothing to reward their players.
Yeah.
They bring in new rewards for ranked, sure, that's good for the ranked players. The
Yeah.
people that want to play ranked, I have lost interest. And so what do I get rewarded with? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, man. It's like there was conversations that I had with, you know, some of the previous dev team where it's like we have these like trophies that we accomplish, these things that we accomplish in a match. And ever since the game has been out, we see them pop up on our screen constantly, but we never know really what they are. Because like usually whenever you start stacking, whenever it's like, you know, you shoot someone out of the sky, you get like a medal for it. Whenever you down multiple people, you get a medal for it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a sense of reward, but it's not rewarding if you don't know what it is, if you don't know how many of those that you actually have, and there was some kind of benefit. If there was just a trophy room where it showed like how many trophies or how many medals that you have acquired in your lifetime of playing, like how many double kills have I got? Okay, I can go to the trophy room. So that encourages this whole different like grinding
another
mentality.
Competitive, yeah.
Yes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, man.
And associating some arbitrary value of like reputation or something like that to them, and possibly increasing the prices for the drops, the boxes that you can purchase, where it's like every game you're going to be consistently getting reputation points off of it. You may get like 5 or 10, or depending on how well you do in the game, you may get like 500 or so. But like that's constantly feeding into that dopamine hit that you're like, look at all this stuff that I'm getting. And that's, I tried to explain that from a psychological standpoint. You want to, at the end of a game, any game that you play, you want to see the amount of XP that you get based on how well you performed. And you want to see your progress bar moving up, right? So
exactly. Yeah.
If you increase how much experience that you need to get from one level to another, let's say that they multiply it by 10, but they give you multiply the amount of experience that you get by 10, or find some way to offset it where that bar looks like it doesn't even necessarily have to, but it looks like it's filling up faster, then you're going to get that hit that you need. Be like, oh, I'm trucking along right here. I want to play another game. Even though that game went bad, look how much experience that I got out of it.
Exactly, man. Like this is perfect. Like what you just said is perfect. And it's an idea I had for a while, not the same idea, right? I had an idea in mind that it's like someone in a certain game gets 50 downs. They should be rewarded with a supply drop, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Something to reward someone that drops like that high amount of kills. Or in demo, for example, somebody drops 15 to 20. That's a solid number in demo.
Yeah.
You know, you give them a reward, the same reward someone will get, like getting 50 in strikeout.
Yeah.
Or like 30 in TDM, you know? And it's like, what you just said is even better. Like when you progress, you get more reputation points, you get more supply drops, something.
Yeah.
Because like at the end of the day, like supply drops were made to make gamers, you know, play more.
Yes.
It's the reason like Call of Duty popped up the way it popped up because of supply drops. You know, the randomness of it, you know. And I know a lot of people, not me, of course. I told you I have everything, but like I know a lot of people that have barely any skins, but they want that one skin, you know. And if they don't get it the next supply drop, they're gonna get it. They think they're gonna get it the next one. They're gonna keep trying and trying.
Yes.
But if you reward them more, they're gonna be like, you know what, this is worth the grind. I can get it in no time.
Yeah.
I can get all the skins in no time. You know, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. This is a great idea, honestly.
And they could, if they really wanted to streamline their process moving forward, is like, when's the last time that they dropped anything new in the store? Like other than like bundles that you have to purchase for real money. I can't.
I'll tell you, because every time something new drops, I get it. And last time they did that was 3 event passes ago.
Right. So, and they've already got the system set up where a year after the battle pass happened, they put the rewards from that battle pass in the supply drops, right? Which is a good system. Like, I think that that's fair. You have a year where you can either get it outright and grind through it and have it, or you have to wait a year to get it in the supply drops. But they could like use their store that they have in game as a way to not only like monetize the game a little bit better by dropping weapon wraps, skins, and things like that, but leave them in the store for like a month. And then after that month is over, put them in the supply drops, but their percentage of appearing, like, adjust it to where it's like, okay, it's once it's out of the store, it's not going to come back into the store. It's going to be in the supply drops. And the only way to get it moving forward is to go into the supply drops. So people that are new to the game or people that couldn't afford it at the time or whatever, they're going to be getting this reputation. They're going to continuously hit these supply drops, especially with the daily login rewards if they come back. So it's going to feed into that same system. They could monetize the game because people are going to say, screw it, I want this now, like the Rambo stuff or the Dr. Disrespect stuff. But then you're also going to have people that's like, I'll wait for it to go in the box and then I'll use that as a way to feed my want, to feed my desire for the game,
Exactly.
But there's a lot.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of things they can do to get the game where we all want it to be.
Yes.
But they're not doing any of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a shame because like it's very simple things. It's very simple ideas. And this kind of goes into the next part here with we've tried this in the past. They've tried a couple of different things in the past to what I would consider mixed success. We've had two different type of events that have popped up, and I'm not talking about the event passes because I've got that written down too. That'll be a whole different thing. But we've had the narrative events that tell the story, and we've also had like the arms dealer type events in the past. And I don't think that either one of them has been executed in the best way that they could be executed. But I do think that is something that people. Because if they were to revert back to a 3-month battle pass cycle, but every month and a half they dropped this like mini battle pass or this mini event that happens where it's got like a handful of rewards that are associated with it, it lasts until the end of the battle pass does, and then that stuff goes into the chests, then I think that would encourage people once they grind that initial battle pass out to at least come back in that midpoint and to see what's new in the game and to work through those. What type of events, like what did you prefer, the narrative or the arms dealer? And like what type of events do you think that they could do in order to kind of boost the game up, whether it be tell a story or engage characters or things like that?
Honestly, man, I'd say this. Me personally, I don't know about a lot of people, but Rogue Company lore with the arms dealer, just in general, having like the trench thing, where whatever happened to him happened. It's still a mystery what happened to him, but having that lore into the game, that's perfect. That's exactly like, for me, that's what I need. It's like, man, I need to learn more about these characters and what happened to them, why they are the way they are, why Umbra's in Jackal, who's with him in Jackal, who's like, who's in a third party, like for example, Mac, he's in Justicar.
Yes.
Right? And I want lore about that. Me personally, I would love to learn about like why this is the way this is, why they are the way they are,
Yes, I agree.
I would love to see more stories, especially like now that they have the trench thingy out, they changed trench and everything. I want to know more. I want to know what happened to his leg. I want to know what happened to Umbra, who is like Jackal really, because he got tested. He was a test subject. He got tested and all that.
Right.
I want to see what really happened. Who is like Jackal? Who is actually a Rogue Company?
Yeah.
Who's just a car? Like all of that. I want to know all about that.
Yeah, and in the past they've done a decent job at introducing the characters in a lore type way with their cinematic trailers that they've dropped for some of them, especially like I would say that like Sigrid and then Mac, the way that some of those characters came out where it was like this is how they're kind of entwined together, but like they could just pick a character like Ronan, for example, and you can read Ronan's bio, and that's kind of cool. You know, you get the bio in there, but like, how much more fun would it be if they're like, okay, we're dropping the Ronan event thing, and it's going to tell the story of Ronan, and like, so the first part of it is just like her growing up and where she came from, things like that. And then the next part is like her getting introduced to Rogue Company, and then like specific missions or turning points in her life as a character, things like that. They could incorporate something like that very easily and have rewards associated with that entire process that feeds into her backstory and feeds into her lore, to where it's like, okay, you know, maybe you get a day one Ronan skin where she just got recruited by Rogue Company, and this is what she looked like day one versus what she looked like now, or whatever. You know, same thing with like Switchblade or any of the other characters. And people would love that. You would have some people that's like, well, you know, I'm not interested in this character. But like, if you find out it's like, oh, this character got recruited by Rogue Company because they helped out this other character who happens to be your favorite character, then you have this weird, like, you feel like you're tied to that character now, you know, because you cared so much about the other character that they helped out. So it brings people in. I think like if they did something like that with Canon, I think Canon's play rate would go up astronomically. Like if Canon saves the day, legitimately saves all of Rogue Company from being destroyed and him just being a complete badass, I think that alone would increase his play rate significantly.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want to play with a badass, you know?
Exactly. And like, you know, the way they introduce Fixer as like a hitman.
Yeah.
Who hired him? You know, did Jackal hire him?
Yeah, right.
Did Rogue Company hire him? Did Justicar hire him somehow? You know, like that's also a mystery I want to know about. You see what I'm saying? Like every single rogue has a specific, unique thing that I want to understand. Like, is Scorch part of Jackal because she got tested with her hand, just like Umbra? Is that what happened? For example, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot on every single rogue. There's questions, you know, that could be answered with lore. And like lore in every game, especially in a game that has 25 unique rogues, with 26 upcoming, whenever that is. Give us a storyline for every single one.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks. Give us 2 weeks to finish this one, then the next one, the next one. That brings in retention, man.
Yeah.
People will play just to figure out the lore. Be like, oh man, I'm hyped for the next one. It's like when Trench thingy dropped, I'm like, who did it? We all wanted to know who did it. And they never dropped anything else.
Yeah, and it's been so long at this point that I think people have forgotten about it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the new character, based off of what we know about her, the public information that we have, do you feel this will be a two-parter? Do you feel like her being included into the game will bring a decent amount of players back into the game? And do you feel like she's going to be somewhat balanced? Do you think that she might be unbalanced out of the gate? Like what are your thoughts on her as a whole?
So I'll say this, right? Every time a new rogue dropped, people thought it was going to be OP. Glimpse was never really, really OP. She has a great perk set and all that. She's not the most OP rogue in the game.
No.
Juke was OP because of the boots. You can get out of the map and all that. They fixed that, whatever. But she was never really, really OP. Her drones were OP at some point. And do I think it's gonna bring in new players and other like old players? Definitely, because I've seen it. Like when I went to their Rogue Company Twitter, I saw their comment section. Like they were like, "Yeah, I'm hyped about this. I want to play with this new rogue. I want to master this new rogue," and that alone shows me that people just want new things just to get back to the game. Or people want new things to say, I'm gonna download this game. And put that aside, like I think the new rogue is gonna be like fine. There's gonna be a bit of things that are buggy, of course, because it's a new mechanic with the sliding technique. Allegedly, whatever it is gonna happen. But that's the information we have.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a sliding rogue. It's a new mechanic to the game. Will it be OP? Maybe, possibly. Is it gonna break the game? Maybe, possibly. But do I think it's gonna do all that? I don't think so, because first of all, you got the SMGs. They're not that good at the current state. I don't know if
Yeah.
you went to a shooting range, but they're not good at the current state.
Yeah.
State of the game. And honestly, I feel like she's gonna be okay, maybe a bit broken, just slightly, but not to the point where it's like, oh, now this person breaks the whole game, and now we gotta know how to deal with it. No,
Right.
because it's a support rogue. At the end of the day, we needed a new support rogue.
Yes. Yes.
We only have technically, we really only have two. Runway, I don't count as support. The only support is the briefcase. That's whatever, you know. But yeah, the fact that you can like have a new support rogue that has new like movement techniques in the game, I'm excited about it. I'm honestly excited about it because it's been how long since Juke was released? What, about
It's
7 months?
It's over a year now.
Over a year. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was the beginning of June of 2022.
Yeah, that's over a year. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Man, and see, that's the thing. Like, take you a year to release a new rogue.
Yeah.
Not good. And see, this is the thing, right? I'll say this, Griffin. You do the best job when it comes to like giving them ideas, and yet they never do anything. Because you've given them ideas for new rogues, given them ideas for like new passives, new abilities, things like that. And from what I've seen, it's like the dev team doesn't care about what we say. Realistically, they only care about the people that complain.
Yes.
We're not complaining. We're complaining and giving you a reason to why we're complaining and giving you a way to make us stop complaining.
Yeah.
And yet you listen to the people that say, "Oh, SMGs suck now." Seriously?
Yeah.
Come on. Come
Yeah.
on, man. That's annoying to me. It really is annoying because whenever I listen to your videos, I'm like, man, this is another great idea. This is another great idea.
Right.
And it's like, sure, let's just say, right, they don't listen to all your ideas. Just listen to the ideas that are like you think could do something. Listen to the ideas for new rogues. Listen to the ideas that can get your attention. Because clearly we know what we're talking about. We're part of the community. We are the people that play the game. And if people are agreeing with Griffin, which most people do agree, some people disagree and give new ideas. Sure, whatever. That's how it works. You know, that's how everything works.
Yes.
But when most of the people agree with ideas and you don't even listen to them, but you somehow listen to the people that say SMGs suck, to me, it's crazy.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think that a lot of that comes down, it's kind of like the idea of like Gecko, for example. You know, Gecko, Darklight, there's several people in the community that make like cosmetic skins for rogues. They've made weapon wraps and all this stuff. And it's like, well, it's the idea of like, well, we can't get a content creator's likeness into the game because there's a lot of like red tape and stuff that surrounds that. And then I look at that statement, right? And they announced that at one point where it's like, well, it's going to be hard to get rogue, like Brad, for example, as like a seeker skin, just kind of throwing that out there. It's going to be hard to do something like that because of all the red tape that's associated with it. But at the end of the day, like if I'm contributing to a collective group of individuals that are trying to make a game better, and I sign a document that basically says, look, this is an idea that I came up with and everything, but I'm giving it to someone, or I'm giving, you know, this mechanic or whatever it be to an individual or to a party, then that like gets rid of the red tape. And I guarantee you, people that have great ideas out there, just in the community in general, not even myself, just general people, would be they would be more than willing to sign a document like that just to say that they helped contribute to the game and to make it better. Like, it feels like the developers have this, it's almost like a developer versus player mentality when it comes to certain things, especially with like innovation and trying to like improve the game as a whole overall.
Yep.
And that is not the right stance to take on something, especially whenever you're trying to salvage the game as it is. And you also have a dedicated player base like you do for Rogue, because don't get me wrong, there's some games out there that have a dedicated player base, but I've never met a game that has a dedicated player base to the extent that Rogue has.
Yeah.
So you have these incredibly talented individuals like Gecko, for example. If Gecko designs a skin and he renders it out in Unreal Engine and all they have to do is just put the assets into the game and he signs that over to the developers, just do it. Like, he'll be happy just for the opportunity to
Exactly,
have his
man.
skin in the game, you know?
Exactly. And this is what we talked about last time. The custom things like a custom engine that they could put in the game to make us as like the players make maps, make skins, make weapon wraps. We talked about this last time. This was Griffin's idea again, not taking no credit for it. But when you have a game as old as Call of Duty, World at War, guys. I said this last time. I'm gonna say it again. When you have a game as old as Call of Duty, World at War, which is 2008, I believe. Yes, 2008. And the game has custom zombies map.
Yeah.
But Rogue Company, a game that got released, what, 2020, 2019? Something like that.
Yeah. 2020, I think.
2020,
But yeah.
yeah. When you have a game like Rogue Company that's been released for no more than 3 years, no more than 3 years, versus a game that's been released, what is it, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
15 years ago, that has a custom engine for people to make zombies maps with storylines and as big as they want them to make it. Sure, it's not going to be good because it's a 2008 engine versus Rogue Company, a game that has barely custom games.
Yeah.
It barely work.
Yeah.
And like it just the comparison there is just not even right. You can have 4 players play a map that they can just download or just make themselves
Yeah.
versus a game that barely loads in a small map like Icarus
Yeah.
in custom games.
Exactly.
You see my point?
Yeah.
You see my point? It's just unacceptable and honestly disgraceful.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
I agree.
And it's not like I'm comparing it to Black Ops 3 where it has custom zombies maps and it's beautiful. No, Black Ops 3 is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. And you can do that probably in other Call of Duty. I didn't check. But I know for a fact in Black Ops 3 you can do custom maps that are beautiful. You can do whatever. You can put anything into that engine and it would work and would make a beautiful map. I've seen people do SpongeBob maps, fucking Fall Guys maps, whatever.
Yeah.
And at Rogue Company we can't even have just maps for us to play on.
Yeah.
Let alone put things from the outside. Just inside the game. Whatever we have inside the game, give us that. Give us that in an engine to make our own stuff, make new skins, new weapon wraps. That's all the people are asking for. That's genuinely all there is. And the fact that Gecko has, since you spoke of Gecko, he has made a secret skin before Rogue Company has made a secret skin.
Yeah.
An actual good secret skin. Because with the less good secret skin we had, which is the only one we have, is the Rambo skin.
Yeah.
The others are recolors of just the original Seeker.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, and if they were to incorporate something like a workshop mechanic where people could like build maps, could tweak settings on their own, you could have like Elvin and people like that run tournaments consistently have their own tournament rule set where things are already disabled, or if they need to be, or they could go in there and change some of the values of some of the stuff on the fly. It's just, it would add more longevity to the game and the developers would have to do nothing. They would just have to enable the player base to be able to get access to it. And you would have people that would love it. And going back to what we were talking about a minute ago, it's like once you download that or like activate that content in your game and you agree to the terms of service of it, where it's like, okay, anything that's created in this is owned by Evil Mojo, Hi-Rez, and they can do whatever they want to with it. It's like, that's fine. Look at some of the greatest Halo maps that came out because Forge. They had that Forge mode in Halo, and people would make maps in there and share them around, and people would like love them so much the developers would be like, hey, we're going to take this map and we're going to put some more polish on it and use a couple of different assets and put it as a legitimate map in the game. Cool, go for it. I mean, it's simple. It's very simple.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing real quick?
Yeah, go for it, man.
So, since we were talking about older games that have like their own custom ways to design things, right? I'm just gonna bring up one thing. One thing that would be amazing for this game. Two things technically, but you know. Um, so I don't know if you remember, but in Black Ops 2 you had theater mode
Yes.
where you can jump in to the past I don't know how many games and look at what happened from your and different people's perspective.
Yes.
And honestly, Black Ops 2 was ahead of its time because I don't know if any other Call of Duties nowadays even do that. That game was so ahead of its time, man. Black Ops 2. You could jump into theater mode, look at their perspective, how it looked from their perspective when you, for example, killed them, whatever, and then how it looked from your perspective, from your teammates' perspective. Put that aside, kill cams.
Yes.
Why
Yeah.
not have kill cams? You know,
Yeah.
it all ties into the one thing. That's why I said it's two things, but it's technically all one thing. Kill cams, theater mode, all the same to me. Just have something there. Final kill cam to where like people would fight for the last kill. Like,
Yeah.
I want to get this last kill. I want to be the kill cam. You know, it's something to feed in the dopamine playing the game.
Yeah, exactly. And like Paladins, I don't know if they still have it or not, but Paladins used to have a theater mode where you could go back in there and rewatch your Paladins gameplays from weeks or months ago, and you could go in there and it wasn't as streamlined. You had to use like commands on PC, so like the console commands to swap perspectives and things like that. But it was something that did exist in a high-res game before. Same thing with kill cams, but they disabled kill cams in Paladins because it was bugging out. And I think that that's why they're afraid to incorporate some of those things into Rogue Company, because it's a little bit different for Paladins because it's a hero shooter and there's like abilities, like there's one character that can bring himself back to life, right? So that was a huge bug where like it would kill you through the kill cam. There was a bug where if this person, because the person would, Terminus would bring himself back to life and basically explode where he died at to be reformed. And anybody around that would die. But if you experienced it and then watched the kill cam and didn't skip it, then when you spawned back in, you would die again from the same blast. And it was so bad that they had to disable him for ranked because people would just alt spam with him and kill the team like 2 or 3 times back to back to gain the momentum to win the game. So it's like they would have to put the time in to streamline it, but I think with Rogue Company, with how abilities and things,
it
would be a little bit different.
Be fine in Rogue Company.
Yeah. So, and that would be the thing too. It's like in a theater mode and a way to replay things, you would really be able to go in and it's like, is this person cheating? You could
exactly,
spectate their perspective.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And then you could be like, okay, in the theater mode, I want to report this person. And here's the proof right here. Watch this perspective for like 10 seconds and you'll see the snapping from one person to the other. It would streamline the process of getting rid of people like that. Like there's a lot of benefits to having something like that. So
and it brings in a lot of content, man, especially for us people creating content. This is perfect.
Yes.
Like having and back in the day, I didn't know anything about YouTube when I was playing the game, but theater mode was so fun to look back at.
Yeah.
It was so fun just like see perspective of people to see if this person exactly was cheating. But like in Rogue Company, the possibilities are amazing for theater mode, honestly. Because you have multiple people in the game and it's mostly like it's objective focus. This game is mostly objective focus, or a strikeout or demo.
Yeah.
Where like in, for example, Call of Duty, where it's TDM, for example, it's just people are scattered all around. But you can see like people, like for example, like Elvin, since you mentioned him, he can look back in theater and be like, you see, this is what this guy did wrong.
Yes.
He like switches to the camera to him, like this is what he did wrong. This is why he got his team killed, for example. And it's a lot of content being made right there, just even on stream. Not even just like for videos. Even on stream, there's a lot of things that can be done right with theater mode. I don't see where it can go wrong, you know?
I know, exactly. So the last thing that I had on here was the Event pass versus battle pass. So I know that the event pass was something that kind of happened earlier in the year, and that was something that Jared kind of spearhead to a specific degree. And I know with them consolidating everything into Evil Mojo, I'm pretty sure Paladins already has a battle pass structure. At least the last time I played it, where it was set up where it was like a 2 to 3 month battle pass structure. First of all, thoughts on event pass versus battle pass, and then do you feel like that they will transition from event passes back into the battle pass structure?
So here's what I hope for versus what I think is gonna happen, right? So first of all, to answer your first question, battle pass. The mythic wraps that we used to get, it's something other than the skins that we wanted to get, really wanted to get.
Right.
That's one. Two, battle passes were actually themed. Event passes feel like they're just random so
Yeah.
far. Like other than the first one, nothing was the same. It's like, oh, we had the what is it? The devils versus angels. We had
Yes.
the glimpse skin, the Dema skin, and then the juke skin. That was nice. Sure, the event pass. I'll give it its credit. It was nice. We had no mythic reps. You know, it just removed one of the main things I grinded the battle pass for.
Yeah, exactly.
And battle pass, like, what do I think is gonna happen? I'm gonna tell you first what I hope is gonna happen. I hope they keep the event passes and battle passes. Have both of them. When you complete the battle pass, the main 50 levels, you can go ahead and grind the 35. And that brings in a lot of retention. That's one, right?
Yeah.
But what I think is gonna happen is still gonna be an event pass next season, and then the season after they're gonna go to battle passes. But the thing is, right? I've always said this. And I'll keep saying this. We've been waiting for a long time for updates. Anyways, we used to do what 90 days for an update, for a
Yes.
major update, and well, like people sure complain, be like, "Man, this is a long time." But now we have shorter updates, and we achieve nothing with that. This is why I want to go back to the old way where it was 90 days. We're
Right.
getting something for waiting.
Yes.
I don't mind that. And if it's 90 days and we have both event and battle pass, nobody's gonna complain.
Yes.
Trust me, nobody's gonna complain. They're gonna be like, oh, this is too much. Well, guess what? You've been asking for too much. You've been asking for more things to grind for. Battle pass done. Now you have the event pass to grind for. You know, and it's just I feel like that is one of the ideas they should really incorporate into the game. Having two of them, both of them. To where the event pass is not really theme based, it's just something, you know, to grind after. But the battle pass is actually themed. You have 50 levels and there's a main theme going on there. Like for example, the devil archangel thingy.
Yes.
Whatever it is, right? Whatever the main focus is, do that for the battle pass and then the event pass can be random. And that's how I feel.
Yeah. And to me, like, if I was in charge, kind of like my ideal layout would be like transition back to battle passes and do a 3-month battle pass cycle, and then take the idea of the event passes and then the events as a whole and kind of roll it all into one thing where you get the battle pass that comes out, and then at that midpoint, so 6 weeks into the lifespan of that battle pass, you get an event that drops, and it comes with an event pass, kind of similar to the event passes that we already have in game, but have the focus for that event. Even if they drop it down from like 35 to like 20 or whatever it is, levels on it, have that be focused around telling either a story or telling the history of a character. So you could have an event pass that comes out for Ronan and it have 20 tiers to it, and it be like, the Ronan used to be race car driver, motorcycle, whatever, racer. And it's like, here's an emblem for a car, and that ties into that. And then like, here's a spray of this, and here's a spray of what her number was whenever she raced, and all this kind of stuff.
Whenever she went to prison as well, the prison Ronin.
Yeah, exactly. And go through her whole, like, this was Ronan's girlfriend in prison, Molly. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
she's a new playable character. 'Cause, you know, she's not a part of anything. She's just Ronan's girlfriend. So it's like, this is crazy. They're getting out there with some of this stuff. But,
Yeah. Yeah,
but-
honestly, yeah.
and they could essentially they could do a major content drop when the battle pass drops initially. They could do that mid-season event drop, and in that they could focus on any issues that came up in that original drop that happened with the battle pass, and then any type of bugs, balance issues that need to be taken care of. Because like when they introduced the mythic wrap for the objection, and the objection meta went for 3 months straight, and it was a nightmare to play against that gun.
It was, yeah.
They didn't have to let it go as long as they did, but they did. They just let it go. And it's like, if you're going to have something in the game that's a meta, because like from previous devs' perspective, it's not entirely a bad thing to have a meta weapon for at least a small amount of time. Okay, a small amount of time to me is like a month, maybe a month and a half, not 3 full months of just terrible
just
gameplay.
objection.
Yes, exactly.
Just objection.
So if they want to have that idea of driving a specific meta for a little while, that's fine. Do that. But don't overextend it to the point where people grind the battle pass out and don't touch the game until the next major battle pass comes out. If there's some type of balance change that adjusts that meta weapon, you know, so.
I feel like if we're going to go back to the 90-day updates, major updates, there should be 3 mid-patch updates. The first one comes in, like, for example, after 20 days. The second one comes after 40 days. Third one comes after 60 days. And then you have another full month to figure out what comes next for the next update. You know, like a major update. You know, and it's just... It's common sense, honestly. To me, it's common sense. But maybe for them, it's a little harder. Sure, I'll give them, you know, I'll cut some slack for them. But at the same time, it's like you really have 90 days, and most of the time you used to extend it. They used to extend the battle pass anyway. And it's like, okay, we'll wait, but it better be something good that we're waiting for.
Exactly.
Especially with a community that's devoted to the game like we are. We're genuinely like, we get so much nothing, and we give them a lot of things in return, you know?
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like, considering the recent removal of support for Nintendo Switch, I know that from a lot of games that I've followed in the past, whenever you push an update for a game, you have to submit the update information and also a build of that update to like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo to go through their review process to make sure that they're not violating, you know, like community standards within that specific console, which makes sense. You know, you don't want to put like porn games on there for people to download for free. But with Sony and Microsoft, it would be like a less than 24-hour review process. But with Nintendo, it was like a week plus review of the content that's coming into the game, because their terms of service, because it's more focused towards children, would delay things because of like their methodical investigation of the updates. With that no longer being a factor into it, then that should give them a little bit more freedom and a little bit more leeway to be able to go into the game and make these hot fixes that need to be made for like either problem weapons or bugs or things like that, instead of waiting for that approval from, because like from a developer standpoint, they have to determine what the problem is, then try to figure out if they can recreate it or what's triggering that problem, then come up with a fix for it. Then they have to compile all that into an update, send the update to Sony, Microsoft, and anybody else, and then they have to get approval, and then they're good to update it. So it's a whole process to just fix a bug, like a simple bug, you know? But when you don't have Nintendo delaying that for a week to 2 weeks at a time, that should make it easier and streamline that process just a little bit. And it sucks for the Switch players. I hate it for the Switch players, but that's an unfortunate boundary that the developers had to work around in relation to how the Switch functioned versus Sony and Microsoft. So hopefully there's some silver lining there. You know, I've talked about that before with Switch being kind of taken down. It's like maybe there's some silver lining, and maybe the Switch player base will have access to a different version of the game, whether it be with like Game Pass or something like that moving forward. So maybe that'll help them like fix bugs on the fly and fix things a little bit more quickly than they had in the past to try to keep players happy. Because like I haven't really been super like ripping and roaring to play, because what's the point if you're going to lag out of 90% of the games that you play? Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
sucks, you know? So,
yeah.
but
That's one of the main things the community have been talking about. It's why I don't like to talk about it much, because it's mainly what people are complaining about, the servers and the way like how harsh the gameplay is.
Yeah.
Nothing smooth going on.
Yeah.
And so it's like everyone has a right to complain, and at this point, as I said before, I can't defend it anymore.
Yeah.
No reason to defend it anymore. They don't give me a reason.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully that, you know, with Evil Mojo and, you know, some of the changes that have happened, they will kind of recognize the potential that something like this has, and at least listen to the player base in as much as it's like, we just want to play the game and enjoy the game for what it is. And a lot of the player base, they want content, but they don't like, content is not one of those things that is talked about as much as servers and matchmaking and things like that. So I think that
Yeah.
once they realize that those issues could be taken care of, they could be fixed and be done with it, then maybe that'll allow them to bring some of that new content in and get that process moving along in the correct direction. So,
And the thing is, right, the community is so devoted to the game because we realize the potential in the game.
yes.
We realize how the game could be one of the greatest games, because realistically, there's no better third-person shooter, in my
Yeah.
opinion, than Rogue Company. Sure, Fortnite is more popular, but
Mhm.
the mechanics on this game is way better than Fortnite's,
Yeah,
in my
exactly.
opinion, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, and you don't even have shoulder swap on Fortnite. You just have the right side to look at it, and so it's just whoever has the right side is the one at an advantage. And it's
Well,
just like, you know, that alone just explains why Rogue Company is miles ahead in terms of mechanics for a third-person shooter.
yes.
But they're not realizing the potential that it's genuinely, there's not even a lot of competition in third-person shooter. They just need to work on the game. They just need to work on how the game plays.
Yes, I agree. I agree 100%. So in final thoughts here with everything that we've ran through, and also with like a lot of the news, and because we're kind of in this like stagnant position at the moment as the community, because we do know that they are teasing the new character. We do know that the new event pass should be out sometime soon, because this one's coming down to the wire here. But moving forward, um, how do you feel about the game as a whole right now? Are you excited about it with the changes? Are you kind of hesitant about it? And what's your final thoughts on everything as a whole?
Okay, so I'm definitely excited for the new Rogue. That's for sure. I'm
Yeah.
excited for the new Rogue. Am I excited as in like, no, I'm not excited. Am I really hopeful that things are gonna work out? Yes. Do I really think things are gonna work out soon? Not really, because as I said, I've had a lot of hope in the game before, and they just dropped my hopes down to the floor every single time without fail. And I genuinely hope, I genuinely do hope the game goes to the maximum potential it has, because the game is genuinely underrated, but it kind of put their own nail in their own coffin, realistically, if we
Yes.
really, look at it in that sense. But I genuinely am excited for the new update. If that includes the new Rogue, I'm all for it. If it includes more balances, I'm all for it. If it includes server fixes, I'm 100% for it. There's a lot of things that could be done that I hope are getting done, but at the same time, I'm not gonna be like putting all my hopes in it um, because at the end of the day, they've failed us time and time and time again,
Yes.
where we had our hopes up so high, and they did nothing with that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, looking at the entire Jared, situation, because, whenever he came out, we talked about this at the top of the thing here. It's like the community backed him. Everybody was excited. Everybody backed Jared, and believed in his vision for the game. And that took a turn at some point. And I think that, like, from my perspective, it's like a one and done situation. Like, I backed the dude. I liked what he was saying. I liked what he was pitching. And I'm not sure exactly what happened during this whole process of him being the lead designer, but I think that people are going to be way more hesitant and also way more vocal about things moving forward, as they should be, because how can you be as supportive about something when it could be changed, dropped, reverted at literally any time?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be my standpoint moving forward, and I think that the community as a whole could afford to have a very similar standpoint, where question everything but accept everything for what it is. Like, it doesn't have to be this way, and we know that it doesn't have to be this way, because if it was the way that the developer said that it was, then the SMGs wouldn't have been reverted. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly. And it's like, see, with the new rogue, there could be a lot of glitches that's happening with the new rogue, because with Juke there was a lot of glitches. But put that aside, right? When they drop, what is it? Dahlia's Halloween skin.
yes. Oh yeah, the
I don't know
no
if you remember.
hitbox.
Exactly.
I
The no
remember.
hitbox. And it's like, how do you release a game not testing that?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you release the update to begin with, not testing that? And that's what I'm scared of, man. It's like, have they really tested the new rogue out? Did they test everything, every hitbox possible? Did they test how the mechanic work? And when the sliding mechanic is in place, is the hitbox the same? All of that needs to be tested. There's a lot of things need to be tested. And plus, remember the Archangel Juke skin?
Yes.
Whenever
yes.
you load it into the game, it broke most people's game.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at it in that perspective too. Will the rogue break the game?
Yes.
Have the rogue been tested in 6v6 especially, where there's exactly,
Yeah.
where it could absolutely break everything because of the amount of players in there. And if there's two of it, two of the rogue, one on each team,
Yeah.
will that break the game? They need to test everything before they release the new rogue, before they release a new skin, like the Dahlia or the Juke skin. It's just like it feels like they just put things out when they did those. They just were like, oh, here you go, content.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's just not even really worth it to even grind for that, whatever. Get the skin, get the rogue.
Right.
Because you can't even play with the first, I don't know how long, the Dahlia was gone for a month or something like that.
Yeah.
The Juke skin was gone for another month. It's just a lot happening, and I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm not putting all my hopes. I'm hesitant as fuck right now because of the way they did things in the past.
Yeah. I think that, honestly, with everything that's been going on, and then like with Jared, kind of like, because a lot of the community doesn't see some of the things that we see or pay attention to some of the things that we pay attention to. And especially on Reddit, there was a lot of people that was like, well, Jared's gone. This is the end of the game. One of the best things that could have happened to the game is gone now, this, that, and the other. I think that, there's a lot of like goodwill that they're going to have to earn back.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
they're going to have to work their ass off. Radar is over Evil Mojo. Radar himself as an individual is going to have to work his ass off to restore good faith in what they are doing and to the community as a whole, because I think people are sick of dealing with it. It's like, I think they're almost over it as a game. And at this point, from the way that I'm looking at it, if you're Evil Mojo, you're either going to have to make a huge push to do what you need to do to restore that faith, or just go ahead and shut it down and be done with it, because the player base is sick of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are so close to quitting, man. I know it. I've seen it.
Yeah, I know. So we'll see if the Evil Mojo group and if Radar and his team will be able to restore some of this faith, because I know that the next update, before all of this Hi-Rez mix-up stuff, was pretty much locked in as to what they were going to do in this update, from what I understand. There may be a couple of things that Evil Mojo throw in there. So the next major update, not the event pass update, but the next major update after that will be a purely Evil Mojo controlled update. And that better be impressive, because if they drop the new character with the next event pass, like they've been teasing online, that'll be enough goodwill to tide the community over for at least 6 weeks.
Exactly.
So we'll see whenever they get to doing actual updates and controlling the game to see where it lands. But yeah, I think that being vocal about it, and then, being understanding that, like, even if they say it has to be this way, it doesn't have to be this way, and questioning everything will just make the game better in the long run, hopefully, if they listen to the right channels. So we'll see what happens.
Griffin being number one, in my opinion.
Man, dude, I would gladly, there's so many people out there that would gladly help contribute to literally anything that any of the developers, for any game that they play that they love, they would love to contribute to it. Just to say, hey, I had this idea here and the developers really like this idea, and they incorporated that idea. Did you get anything out of it? Yeah, the satisfaction to know that this really cool thing that people really like came from my brain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was my idea. Exactly.
So hopefully we'll see some good things in the future. But
I hope so, man. I really hope so. Because I love the game. Again, I'll keep saying it. I love the game.
Yes, absolutely. So let everybody know where you at, Thief. How can people get in contact with you? How can they see your videos and your streams and your Spider-Man gameplay? And
Allegedly,
yeah.
Well, I don't know if if you search Thief on YouTube, it doesn't pop up really, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Griffin will have my link in the description. There
Absolutely.
you go. That's one way to find my YouTube. How to contact me, honestly, through Discord. If you're in Griffin's Discord, I'm there. You can just talk to me, tell me to DM you. We can work that out. And how to watch my gameplay? Well, as I said, YouTube channel. That's all I do. YouTube. I tried Twitch for a little bit, didn't work, but YouTube is the main thing. Make sure if you're listening, if you're this far into the broadcast, into the video, why are you not subscribed? If you are, why didn't you hit the like button?
Yeah,
if
exactly.
You did, go ahead, leave a comment with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do all of that. Subscribe to Griffin, like the video, because this man has done everything possible for this game. This man has never gave hope, has done everything for this game to where he gives constructive criticism, doesn't just bash on the game, doesn't just show it blind love. The man knows what he's doing. Go ahead, subscribe to this man, like the video right now. If you're this far in the video, why are you not already doing all that,
Exactly. And I appreciate that. I mean, and if you're listening this far too, like, we got to get Thief to 1,000, right? Like, that's got to happen. If it doesn't happen off this video, I'm going to be upset.
Damn, you don't want to see Griffin upset. Now, there you go. That's one good reason right there.
I'll hulk out and I'll just shut it down.
Hell yeah, brother.
Exactly, right? Exactly. But dude, Thief streams, you stream almost every day, right?
Yeah, I mean, the past 2 weeks, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna slow down now that I have guests coming over today. Actually, they're
Right.
gonna be visiting for a couple weeks. So the uploads are gonna be going back up a little bit. Streams are gonna be going way lower.
Right. And I completely understand that, man. But
Yeah.
good stuff's happening over on Thief's channel, so please be sure to go and check that out. I will leave a link in the description down below. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and then just hop into a live stream or hop into onto a video and see what he's got going. I mean, it's great gameplay. It's always great gameplay. Thief put on a very great, very successful strikeout tournament. It was great, and out here doing the Lord's work on the ROCO. So give it up to him.
There you go.
Give him a like. Give him a sub. Give him some love. Send him some things to steal. You know what I'm saying? So
There you go. There you go. And
Polaroids.
then come to my channel. Say Griffin's new podcast sent me there.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
Yes,
There you
exactly.
go.
All
They're
right.
like, what a great guy, Griffin.
you know, be like that sometimes, I guess, you know. All right, guys, I want to give a huge shout out to Thief for coming on and discussing all of the Hi-Rez Shakeup things that happened most recently over at Hi-Rez. Great insights, great content creators. So please be sure to go and check Thief out. I will have links in the description down below. I'll also try to throw those into a pinned comment. So if you haven't tuned into Thief before, please be sure to go by, show his channel some love, and give him a shout out. Also, if you want to contribute to the podcast in any way in the future, please be sure to hit us up on Twitter at BROGUECAST. You can shoot us an email, broguecast@gmail.com, or you can join the Discord. There will be a link in the description down below to join the Discord, and there is a BROGUECAST contribution section there. So I want to thank the BROGUECAST guys for joining us on the first part, Thief for joining us on the second part, and we will be back next time with episode number 55. This has been episode number 54. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, guys, and you have a great one out there. Take it easy, guys.